Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I have here an act perpetrated by Ukraine, and I think it's idiotic. I think it's delusional. And I will explain why I think that is a delusional act of liberating territories, or liberating people that are occupied by the Russians. Why? Because I don't think that a lot of people in those areas want to be liberated by Ukrainians. So let me show you what the Ukrainians did. According to Business Insider, Ukraine's drones rain leaflets on occupied territory, telling its citizens to boycott Putin's election farce. Now, there's some elections in September 10th, 2023. The elections already occurred, okay, but occurred during the weekend. My point is, you drop leaflets telling these guys to boycott that I think most of them want to occur. It's like you have a wife that she wants to divorce, and you send her, and you don't want her to divorce you, and you give her letters. Don't divorce Emil, don't divorce Emil, stay with him, he's a nice guy, don't go anywhere else. I mean, she wants to divorce. What do you think, I'm going to change her mind or something? The same here, this guy sent leaflets to people who obviously, I would say, if not an overwhelming, but a majority of them are Russians and they want to get out of this situation. The situation being the Ukrainian state that was formed after 2014. Remember, they decided to break away from the Kiev regime. The people in those territories that now, the people you want to liberate from the invaders that they might see as liberators. This is idiotic. This is idiotic. When I hear these guys, we're going to liberate the people in Donbass. I don't think they want to be liberated. I'm not talking for all of them. Definitely there are some people over there who don't want to stay within Russia. Some of them want to go to Ukraine. That's obvious. But I don't think that's a majority. I think that's a minority. Should they have a say in that? Of course. But you see, they don't allow them the chance. You say, well, Emil, they couldn't have had that anyway. Well, why? Well, you can't just break away from a country like that. That's true. It's true. But let's go and see the context. It was not like a functional country with everything going okay, and these guys just decided to break away because the evil Russians want them to take their territory. This is a story is told here, but you have to go back and then get the chronology of events, and don't ignore evidence that you don't like and don't fit your narrative. So I'm not going to start with 1991, dissolution of the Soviet Union, and then NATO expansion, and then 2008, the summit in Bucharest. One day these guys will join what? Okay, and then the overthrow of a legitimate democratic government in Kiev, Viktor Yanukovych, remember? With the help of outside forces. That's a coup. And those people who did it are traitors. By definition, go and check the definition if you don't believe me. And then those guys said, well, you know what? We don't recognize what happened over there. That's how it started. And then they want an autonomy within this garbage that occurred after 2014, I think. And then they conducted the election. The guys who won the elections won because they were fair and free elections. But Putin's farce elections. Why? Because when other people do it and we don't like the outcome, they're farce and they're not fair. When we do it, doesn't matter how we do it, all right? It's fair and the most perfect and cleanest one. So this is how it ended up here. And then who sent tanks to whom? Was the Donbass sending tanks to Kiev, or was it Kiev sending tanks towards Donbass? Well, you know exactly who that was. They have two Minsk agreements. Did Ukraine implement them? No. And they started bombing. How many people died and how many Russians speaking, that's how I say it, Russian-speaking people died in Donbass? In what? Since 2014 until 2022. The Russians estimate about 14,000. Between 10,000 and 14,000. Is that not enough for these idiots? Because if it's not enough, as some idiots say, that's nothing, only when it occurs here, that means one life values more than the other one. And that's not how it goes, isn't it? So that's how we got here. And these guys say, well, we're going to throw leaflets of the people who want to get out of us for what we've done after 2014. I mean, how idiotic can you be? Yeah, you want to create problems because you're going to have people who don't want to be in Russia. That's clearly a fact. How many they are? No, they had the referendum or referenda in all these things. They say they were rigged. I mean, why? Because it showed something that you didn't like? Should have been, I mean, the right of self-determination. Look at, for instance, the Albanians in Kosovo. Did they vote it? The parliament voted independence. We're going to break away from you. With the help of whom? NATO, democracy and freedom. But that was legitimate, according to these guys, but this one is not legitimate. Why? Runs against our interest. No, that's not justice. So anyway, let's see what else these guys say here. So they say that Ukraine's partisans have been sabotaging Russia's sham elections in occupied territories. Resistance efforts have included blowing up a polling station and mass disturbing leaflets via drones, calling on people to ignore the elections. They don't ignore the democracy. Do what we tell you. Only when we organize them is democracy. When they organize it, is not democracy. The U.S., the European Union and the U.S. condemned the elections in this. They don't like democracy all of a sudden. And they call it sham and all that. Why? Because that's not them organizing them. They stick their nose everywhere. The pseudo-elections, sham election, pseudo-election, illegal elections are a flagrant violation of international law. Says the Council of Europe. Okay, you want to organize it? Yeah. Fuck off. Organize it in your garbage. Anyway, Ukraine has been sabotaging Russia's sham elections. Anyway, Russia is holding elections this weekend, past weekend, in occupied Ukrainian territories, including Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporozhye, and Crimea, The Guardian reports. Kremlin polls are projecting that United Russia, the Russian ruling party, will win at least 70 to 80% of the vote. That's a no. It must be, I don't know, Democrats or the idiots in Brussels winning. A Russian analyst told the Kiev Independent that if competing parties even exist, we can expect a pitiful outcome for them. Okay, scenarios. I like scenarios. I don't think so. I think that if the so-called competing parties that don't exist, according to this analyst, if they would come in, let's say, I think the Russia, whatever the rules, the Russia Freedom, whatever was that the name of the United Russia will win 100%. That's my scenario. Since we will never be able to verify it, my truth is equal as his truth. Because he bases his statement on nothing, on a scenario. And I can base my statement on another scenario. My scenario versus his scenario. And we're talking about something that we will never know. So we are equally smart and correct. Even though we predict two different things. He said it's going to be different, it's going to be a pitiful. I said, no, it's going to be 100%. Okay, and we can discuss that how much we want. We see how the elections have ended prematurely. All right, whatever, man. And the leaflets, let me read the leaflets. We will save you and protect you. From you? Remember, they left because of you, the Kiev guys in Kiev. They didn't leave because of the Russians. So you want to save them from you, not from the Russians. Anyway, do not participate in the election farce. Do not participate in election. But in what? In a coup d'etat in 2014? Is that? We don't like insurrections, do we? No, we don't. So, do not play along with the invaders. You call them invaders, maybe they call them liberators. Then they call you the invaders who want to liberate them. Because in the first place, they left you. Today we are in Tokmak. Tomorrow we'll be in Berdyansk. Jesus Christ, they're coming. Let's fight them. This is actually a make the guys over there saying, Jesus Christ, so they're advancing. I should fight harder then. You can make shit up. Anyway, my friends, the international community. Can you tell me how many countries has condemned the elections? How many countries? International community. When you say a community, that means it's a group of countries, international community, the whole thing. And then we have Anthony Blinken, okay? and the Council of Europe. That's all what it needs. Nobody else is listed there. Read it for yourselves. So we have Ukraine, the Council of Europe, weasels, because Europe is not united in condemning it, and United States, and probably Canada, probably Australia, the usual suspects. So you got about what? I would say in reality, if you let them by themselves, probably they would be without, coercion and so on. Maybe you get 15 countries, maybe 10. But let's give them inflated to 40. The 40 countries is not international community. 40 countries is a 1/4 of the international community of 195 countries, isn't it? I mean, not even. It's 20%, let's put it. 20%. 195 versus, let's say, 40. I mean, however you want to call it. And this is the international community. And they use Anthony Blinken and the Council of Europe. How many countries are in Europe? What, 20-some, 30? So it's 31 countries. That's not an international community. That's a very fringe minority, as the idiot north of our border, Trudeau, said about the truckers, blockade. A fringe minority with unacceptable views. He determines what's unacceptable and what's acceptable. He is the moralizer because he's a moral person. You and I, depends what Trudeau decides. All right, my friends? So yeah, liberate people who don't want to be liberated. Kind of like strange. But again, this is delusional. Delusional. Think how it started. These guys wanted out, but they didn't want out all the way. They wanted an autonomy within Ukraine. That's how it was the Minsk Agreement 1 and 2. Now, Ukraine lost everything. Lost the territories. They would have been in Ukraine as a different autonomy over there within Ukraine. Now we can look at scenarios which are something is not real, or Russia would have taken it, or you can look at the other scenario. No, Ukraine eventually would have merged with these guys, will come to autonomy, is going to be dissipating because of the good behavior and fair behavior of Kiev. So you see how scenarios work? Or maybe Jesus Christ would have come and fuck us all up and take us to heaven in his UFO. How about that? Anyway, so here is, my friend. Liberate the people who want to liberate. Some of them want, as I said. There's no doubt about it. But I think most of them don't want. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.